Hey everybody, Better for the Better podcast, and welcome to Blood Bowl 2025 Team Guides, Imperial Nobility. So we're going through every team in Blood Bowl 2025 in Blood Bowl Season 3, and we're having a look at their players, we're looking at what's changed, we're looking at what team you can run straight out of the box. So if you're getting into this edition, you've played it of the old, you're brand new to it, watch this video, and by the end you'll have a pretty good idea of what to do with Imperial Nobility. Okay, so Imperial Nobility were introduced in the last edition, actually in the starter box of the last edition. And they were fair to middling, I would say. But in this edition, in Season 3, they've had a little bit of a buff. In fact, they've had a fair few buffs, and they are looking very, very, very fun. So, as I'm recording this, we've filmed and played at least one game with Nobility, and they've been pretty good. Not OP, but still really good. So, Imperial Nobility team, 60k rerolls, tier 2. When it comes to tier, it doesn't really matter at the moment. Tier doesn't affect you for League, and it only comes into play in tournaments, and Games Workshop are going to keep ticking the tier over, so don't worry about that too much. They can have an Apothecary, and they've got no special rules. The only one they've got is Old World Classic, which just affects which inducements they can take. But this is the page, this is the page where all the good stuff has happened. Okay, so the Nobility roster, they're linemen. You can take 0 to 16 of them. And they are now Ag 3+. So in this edition, there is the new Secure the Ball action, which means any player that isn't unsteady or a big guy can pick up the ball on a 2+, but their movement ends. So even if these guys were Ag 4+, they would still have another way to pick up the ball in a better angle. But now these guys are human linemen. They are just Ag 3+. So you've got a 3+ to pick up the ball on your very regular lineman. It is quite a big deal. Like, it's quite a big buff. It's quite a big buff because it also means these guys can take a risky dodge out on a 3+ as well. So actually, really love that. Yeah, really love that. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Okay, so next up, the Imperial Throwers. You get 0 to 2 of them. They have gained Pro. Now, Pro is a skill where after you've rolled a dice or some block dice, you can say Pro. And on a 3+, you roll a dice, and on a 3+, you can re-roll one of the dice within that dice pool. Now, it can't be armor rolls, but it can be a dodge roll, it can be a pickup roll, it can be one of your 2 dice when you're blocking. It's a really useful skill, and it just kind of shows that this team is being elevated. They are also passing 2+ now, which I absolutely love. The Imperial Throwers, the Nobility Throwers, they came into the edition last time. They were passing 3+, they had no sure hands, and it was a bit... they were a bit lackluster. Now, these guys are really, really, really good. You can take 0 to 4 Bodyguards, and one thing about the Bodyguards is they do come with Stand Firm and Wrestle, but they are now Movement 5 instead of Movement 6, so they are a little bit slower. Now, Wrestle is an interesting skill. Like, it drops you to the ground, so often, if you use that skill, you're going to have to stand up. Now, the cool thing here is because you've got 4 of them on this roster, it tends to be a bit of a ground control game, so you're not really spreading out your players massively anyway. So the fact that they're going to be Movement 5 isn't the worst thing in the world. Obviously, you'd want them to be Movement 6 rather than anything else, but it's perfectly manageable. And you've got 0 to 2 Noble Blitzers, and these guys get Pro as well. Now, I really like these players. They're Ag 3+, Movement 7, really solid pieces, block and catch, and now they've got Pro. So not dodge to start with, but if they've got to pick the ball up on the run, they've got a 3+ to get a chance for the reroll. If they've got to take a dodge before they get dodge, they've got a 3+ chance at a reroll. If they need to take a 1-die block, you know, or a 2-die block, you know, Pro just makes them more efficient. So they're just a more effective. It's a really interesting one. So the Imperial Throwers and Noble Blitzers, because they've got Pro, they feel like Ag 2.5+. They're just, it's just going to help you out every now and again. The Ogre, still on the roster, great piece of meat, but Loner 3+ is just, I think, a little bit better than it was before. Okay, so the linemen, we've talked a little bit about the retainer linemen. You can get 0 to 16 on this roster. Movement 6 is perfectly serviceable. Strength 3, Ag 3+, passing 4+. Means you can do most of everything. They don't excel at anything, but they're not really penalized for anything here. So strength 3, very good. Ag 3+, better than average, or better than usual, you know, better than 50-50. Passing 4+ is now actually pretty good in a pinch, which is nice. They've got armor 8+, however, so they are a little bit susceptible. Now, this player comes in at 45k, which is pretty cheap for a lineman, and they've got Fend. So this is kind of your old school Hobgoblin. This is your Thrall from a vampire team. But for 5k, they get access to Fend. Now, Fend is not the best skill by any stretch of the imagination. But on this roster, it works really, really, really well. You've got all these stand firm pieces, and you've got these linemen who are going to fend, which stops your opponent from following up on a block. So you just kind of get to spend most of the time defensively getting to choose where your opponent ends up. And that can be really, really, really effective and wildly annoying as well. So it's really useful. Now, the fact that these guys have got general access, general on a primary is really good. So you can upgrade them to your block piece. You can upgrade them to the wrestle piece. You can do whatever you want with with alignment, which is really good. And strength and agility on a secondary is also pretty good, pretty par for the course, especially now secondaries are now at 10 SPP instead of 12. So you can take a random general at 3, you can pick a general skill at 6, or you can save up to 10 and choose a double. And you're going to have some guard on this roster already, so it kind of makes your linemen pretty easy to go with. These are one of the few players that I think retain the idea of having a random general skill, especially now with the Season 3 rules where you roll twice and pick once. At 3 SPP, whenever your retainer lineman gets a touchdown, it's probably worth a punt. Alright, now we've got the throwers, who have gone from the most charming and underwhelming thrower in the game to a pretty good competitor. Now, he's not a strength 4 vampire thrower, and he's not a movement 7 whiz kid like the Skaven thrower. We like that. But actually, this guy's pretty good, and he's pretty useful in this team. So movement 6, cool. Strength 3, cool. Edge 3+, cool. Passing 2+. Yes, we like that. Armor 9+ as well means this is quite a resilient player. Now, 75k, actually on the cheap side too. Give and go, pass, and pro. So we've talked about pro. Pass gives him the reroll when he makes a pass action. And give and go is this edition's version of running pass. So running pass is gone. Give and go now means that if this player hands off the ball or makes a quick pass, that's 3 squares away, assuming it's not a turnover afterwards, this player can carry on moving. Now, that makes this a really interesting roster. You've got those 2 blitzers to throw to. Now even your linemen are edge 3+, which is better than bad odds of being able to catch the ball or being able to hand the ball off. So your thrower can now redeploy. Now with general and passing skills, you've got a very easy, accessible amount of skills. You can go the 1 route where you can develop him as a thrower. You can take accurate, give him a 1++ to pass on quick, or a 6 square 2++. And at that point with give and go as well, it becomes really, really, really fun to do. You can take that route, no problems at all. You can take the leader route. You can do whatever you want to with this player. You can also go the general route and take that block skill to make him essentially a 3rd blitzer. And with give and go here as well, and pass, taking block with armor 9+, movement 6, and strength 3, he makes a pretty effective reserve blitzer, potentially a runner that you can kind of move up the ball, hand it off, and then go stand in the corner of the cage. Then go just position yourself ready to stop somebody else. It's really, really, really effective. And I mean, it just means you've got a choice. You can either run your nobility thrower as a bit of a passy boy, or you can run him as a bit of a runner. And I think that's really good fun. That just allows that flexibility with the roster. Just double checking all the skills and everything like that. GPAS, yeah, fantastic. You got agility on a secondary, you got strength on a secondary as well. So Lodge is actually not that far away for this player either. But I mean, he's a thrower. There's going to be a part of you that wants to just take that accurate and just start just quick passing to your catchers. And protecting your throwers, you've got the Bodyguards. Now there's 4 of these guys. 85k. Stand firm and wrestle. Movement 5 is a little on the slow side, but it's not that bad. Strength 3 is good. Edge 3+ is good. Passing 4+ is good. Armor 9+ is good. It's a pretty good all-round player. But you've got that combo of stand firm and wrestle, which when you line that up with the fact that they can take general or strength, makes these pieces really, really, really fun. You've got 4 of them as well, so you don't even have to like, oh, I've got strength access, I need to take guard on all of them. I mean, by all means, take guard on all of them, but actually you can sprinkle in a bit of mighty blow. You can kind of take these guys any route. Because they've got wrestle, they do make really quite useful linebackers. Now, at strength 3, they're not going to be the biggest threat in the world by themselves, but you've got 4 of them, and stand firm means you're going to be able to keep them in place. So this is the kind of player that really benefits from guard, because they just get in the way. And yes, wrestle and guard is kind of like a non-combo, because if you use wrestle, your guard switches off because you're on the ground. But if you've got a bit of guard on the go, and you've got another bit on the guard, another bit of guard on the go, your opponent's going to struggle to make profitable blocks. And if they do land a hit and wrestle keeps you from rolling on armor, you can just stand up again. Agility on a secondary is probably not where you're headed with the bodyguard, but you never know. Look, the bodyguards were great in the last edition. They're a little bit slower, but also a little bit cheaper, and that really helps out this roster. All right, these are noble blitzers, but they are really, if you're an NFL fan, these are your tight ends. Okay, these are movement 7, strength 3, edge 3+, passing 4+, armor 9+, really solid stat line. They've got block, catch, and pro. So 90k, they are quite expensive, but movement 7 block is a really, movement 7, strength 3, edge 3+, armor 9+ block is a really solid stat line, to the point where that's just a really great blitzer. But because these guys have got access to agility and general, I'm just going to double check that they haven't. Yeah. This player is like no effort away from becoming a movement 7 blodger. And because you've got that agility access, you can do shenanigans like sidestep, blodge step really quite easily. And because they've got pro, even though they're not edge 3+, when you need them to do stuff before you get that skill, they've got a chance to do it. They're just a little bit more effective. Now, it's a tough one. They don't have access to strength except on a double secondary, sorry. So they're not going to be your heavy strikers. That's where your 4 bodyguards come into. These guys are going to be your flashy scorers for the most part. Now, they do work quite well with skills like strip ball potentially, but they're going to be your scorers. Think of these guys as your noble catchers. Think as your bodyguards, as your blockers, and then you've got the 2 throwers there who can be your runners as well. So the noble blitzers are going to be really, really, really effective. The fact that they are just 6 SPP away from getting dodge, and because they're block, catch, movement 7, they're going to get a couple of touchdowns, and that pro is just going to come in really handy, because there are going to be some times where you need to take a dodge out and you don't have dodge, or you need to try and pick the ball up on the go, or a 1-die block, and that cheeky 3+ save to allow you to re-roll something, it's just going to come in really handy. Noble blitzers are sneaky stars of Blood Bowl, and I am here for it. All right, so the Ogre is just a fantastic big guy. Now, currently in the book, this guy has a secondary access of agility, general, and mutation. I think mutation is an FAQ. I think that's a typo, and I think that's going to go. So we're not going to worry about that too much. What we do like, though, change-wise for this player, is the Loner 3+. It just makes it ever so slightly more usable. Now, movement 5, strength 5, edge 4+, passing 5+, armor 10+. Ogres, right? Ogres just are fantastic big guys. They've got Bonehead, which is a downside. Loner 3+ makes that a little bit better. Mighty Blow is always useful, especially on a team like this. Thick Skull keeps them around. Throw Teammate is of no use on this team because you cannot get non-star access to stunties. I think you can take Crumble Bumbleberry, maybe, but we're not going to worry about that. That's not one of the ability you're here to do. Your Ogre is there to surround himself with bodyguards and just create this wall of 2-die, 3-die blocks. This guy here should be able to farm a 3-die block on most turns, which is just going to combo very nicely with your Mighty Blow and just add a little bit of removal. This is sneaky, really, really, really good. When the Nobility roster was added to this game, the old Bretonnian roster got gone. Now, the Ogre was added, and we looked at it and we're like, okay, all right, that's a bit of meat. Now, he's a big guy, so Bonehead is going to let you down. He's going to end up distracted. He's going to end up failing. But sometimes he's just going to give you a really solid 2-die block with Mighty Blow, and it's just going to take out some players. And because of the stand firm, because of the fend on this roster, if you can start getting a little bit of a numbers advantage, your blocks become much safer, your blocks become much more profitable, and you can kind of just really control the ground. Now, you've got 4 potentially brilliant and offensive players here with your 2 throwers and your 2 blitzers. Movement 7, movement 6, you know, good passing. You've got a really nice bit of offense there, but you've also got a really solid piece of combat with 4 stand firm, wrestle, 1 ogre, and 2 blitzers, right? That's 7 combat pieces on this roster as well. So nobility have got juicy speed, but they've also got a lot of punch, and that's why I think the ogre is so good on this roster. However, he's a big guy. Yeah, he does have a nega trait, but sometimes it's just worth the risk. Okay, so you have gone and got yourself a box of very, very, very fine models. This one is one of Ben's. In fact, this is one of the players that performed in the game that we recorded. So if you pick up a box of nobility and you don't have access to an ogre, this is the starting point for your journey into nobility. So 2 throwers, 2 blitzers, 4 bodyguards, 3 retainers, 3 rerolls, 985 gold pieces. So if you pick yourself up a box of nobility, you will get to run all of your positionals, and you'll even have a lineman left over. Now, when it comes to running the ogre, I would really recommend putting him in there, but for every team we're saying, right, this is the 1 box edition. If you pick up your 1 box, where can you start? How, like, what does the roster look like for that 1 box? And it looks like this. And this is still going to get you a really fun time playing with this roster. Now, I think you can flex it with an ogre, drop a couple of bodyguards potentially, and swap a lineman at that point for an ogre, something like that. You might have to drop a reroll to make it work. But because you've got your blitzers and your throwers with pro, you can quite happily go down to 2 rerolls with this roster. And especially if you're backing it up with an ogre as well, it just gets to play some Blood Bowl. Yeah, just checked in. The roster we used for the game was an ogre, 2 bodyguards, 2 blitzers, 2 throwers, 4 linemen, 11 players, and 3 rerolls. Comes in bang on 1 million. So if you pick up your box, you can run this roster. If you get yourself a big guy, which is the best bit about Blood Bowl, you don't need to pick up a second box. It's 4 linemen. You drop your bodyguards, you add the ogre, you're good to go. Both are really, really, really fun ways of doing it. Okay, so nobility in this edition. I really liked running them in the last edition. In fact, when we ran the Marienburg Minotaurs in the first championship of the last edition, I had a lot of fun with them. We had Fitz Magic. The charm of the thrower being a little underpowered was really good fun. It made you want to prove that you can take that 3+ pass. Now, you're being gifted a great thrower. You've got 4 good blockers. You've got an ogre in there. You've got 2 fastish blitzers. This is not an overpowered roster, not by any stretch of the imagination, but it is good. And you can play some serious Blood Bowl. We played this against Bretonnians, and it was a really great matchup. I think, quite frankly, nobility have just been raised to the point where they're a good team now. And you can run them, and you are going to be very present and very threatening. And for that, I absolutely love nobility. I'm super happy with them, so good work on just spicing up that team. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think about nobility in 2025, and we'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking.